The 737 MAX is no doubt the most controversial topic in the aviation media at the moment, but through conducted research and new info I have discovered, it suggests that Boeing will actually cancel their whole 737 MAX program. Boom! No one actually saw this coming. So is their software fix actually worth it, or should you still be afraid of flying on the 737 MAX? Stay tuned. Before we get started in this video, I just wanted to say that I'm doing a massive Xbox One X and X-Plane 12 giveaway to one lucky subscriber. All you have to do is subscribe, like, and comment under this video about what you thought about this whole video. And make sure to watch to the very end to get further details about entering. I just wanted to put a disclaimer out there before we started with this video, is that I will be covering the whole explanation about the 737 MAX, what it is, what it's all about, when it was made, and everything you should know about this matter and the controversy of it. If you want to go straight to the part where it's about why they will cancel it or why you shouldn't be afraid, I've got the timestamps in my description below about everything that I talk about in this video. Other than this, let's just get right into this. For people who don't know about what the 737 MAX is, the 737 MAX is a narrow-body aircraft series designed and produced by the Boeing commercial company as the fourth generation of the 737 series, succeeding the Boeing 737 Next Generation, or NG. The 737 MAX was publicly announced on August 3, 2011. It was named after the Spirit of Renton, and it performed its first flight on January 29, 2016. It gained its FAA certification on March 8, 2017. The first delivery that took place with this aircraft was on May 6, 2017, that was granted to Malindo Air. So, why did this aircraft seem to crash every time? Well, there was a simple explanation to this, but when the crashes that took place in Lion Air and Ethiopian Airlines, investigators didn't seem to know or find out what the problem or issue this was causing with the aircraft to suddenly stall after takeoff. But why was it doing this, and what exactly was it? Well, investigators actually found out that this was the faulty Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System, or in another context, MCAS. This computer software was actually designed to maintain the level of the Boeing 737 MAX after takeoff. This was because the new big fuel-efficient engine was just over their wings, meaning that when it would take off, it would go on a slight vertical takeoff, which isn't so pleasant. So this MCAS computer software would be a computer correction that would stall the plane just a bit so like this it maintained its height. But this is exactly the problem that started first with the 737 MAX, the computer software MCAS. This was actually found on the Lion Air and Ethiopian Airlines flight that the MCAS computer software would read false readings of its height, meaning it would stall the plane just like that because it's a sensor, so it does a correction for the pilot. Now, this was bad because even though the plane was at good height and level, it would still make the plane stall. So if it kept stalling, it would eventually lose ground and it would crash. So this is exactly how the two planes crashed because of its faulty MCAS computer software. So why would someone make such a bad MCAS computer software system that costed lives? Well, in fact, Boeing isn't actually the first plane manufacturer to have this sort of problem. In fact, Airbus had this problem too. Here's why. On the 7th of October 2008, a scheduled flight named Qantas Flight 72 was bound for Perth Airport. After a while, the pilots declared an emergency landing at Learmonth Airport after there was an in-flight accident involving a pair of sudden uncommanded pitch-down maneuvers that severely injured many of the passengers and crew. The injuries included fractures, lacerations, and spinal injuries. The A330 plane was actually a fly-by-wire, which means it was also controlled by a computer. But the problem with this computer is that it thought that the plane was pitching up and overspeeding at the same time. So the computer helping out the pilot at the same time said, "I'm not going to let you do this, I have to stall, because it is dangerous what you're doing right now." But in fact, the captain was at normal speed, everything was fine. but the computer softwares thought differently. So this is what caused the plane to stall. In fact, this is actually quite scary because in this context, it's actually trying to tell you that the computer software comes first, pilot comes second, which if you think about it, your life is actually in a computer's hand. So a false computer reading turns into this. So moving into the news section in our video about how Boeing will actually scrap the 737 MAX program. It was found to be successful in around 2017 when it was first launched, but after all the accidents and people dealing with this trauma, not everybody will be back on the 737 MAX soon. And if people aren't going to board on 737 MAX because they're too afraid to fly, this is going to set back airlines so much money. So investing furthermore into the 737 MAX isn't actually the best option for them. So this is why Boeing might cancel this in order to support all plane programs, for example the 777X and the 797. This is why Boeing tech specialists, engineers and researchers think that the 737 MAX will be cancelled as a program. This is actually another good idea because the 777X is currently over budget. So to pay off their dues would be actually a very good idea for the 737 MAX. But why would Boeing cancel the 737 MAX if they've just incorporated a new software fix? Well, this is when everything gets confusing. Despite a new big software fix that's been incorporated, passengers are actually still afraid of this plane. Well, if I were them, I would be afraid too. But what pilots are actually telling us is that this software fix is way better, they'll feel more confident, and if they ever have to override the MCAS system, it'd be much easier. Problem with this is that Boeing announced that it would be only a 30-minute iPad course. This was actually the same mistake that they made before with the 737 MAX, only allowing up to 2 hours of iPad courses. According to the company's statement, Boeing is finished with the software fix, which they have tested for more than 360 hours over the course of 207 test flights, as well as simulated testing. Problem with this is that this has to be approved by the Federal Aviation Administration, or FAA, before it can be installed on the grounded airplanes. Problem is that Boeing is actually providing information that the software is actually taking longer than it's supposed to be, and that it might provide a delay with the software fix. So on the pilot's instrument screen, there will be a small indication of a symbol saying, "Do you want to disagree with the MCAS or angle of attack?" And the pilot will be able to disable this, meaning for a smooth flight and no stalling. If you're not already subscribed to my channel, click this big red button on my head that you see right now. It is very worth it, and if you don't know anything about this channel, it is Talk Aviation. We cover the latest airline fleet plans, the airline deliveries, new planes that will be created by Airbus, Boeing and all those other plane manufacturers. So I suggest to click the red button up here or down there in the description.